Good morning, New Vision. Vintage, I knew that. I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. My name is Marla. Will you stand up with us as we begin to worship the Lord together?
Come now, Lord, like never before. fire in the house.
That was amazing. That was incredible. Marla, welcome to New Vintage. Let's all give Marla a hand. Woo! This is her first time here with us today, and your presence is a gift to us this morning. That was incredible.
Yes, 100%.
What a great song to start with, too. My name is Natalie Goodrich, and I'm here with my friend.
Adon, your boy.
Hello, Adon. Adon and I both have the gift of being on staff here at New Vintage, and in doing so, we get to see the breakthroughs in this church each and every week, and I can't tell you what an honor that is. Just last week, on Easter Sunday, a group of our leaders went across the street to the apartment complex and served delicious moist pancakes for all of the people that live in those apartments so that they know that here at this church, we are people who care about them, we are for them, and all we want to show them is the love that Jesus shows us. So we get to see those kinds of breakthroughs each and every week here at New Vintage.
I mean, straight alligator arms across the apartments, guys.
Outreach.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been just amazing to be able to hear the band week through, week out. They're just killing it. I've got Cameron and Skylar in my married group every week, and I just can't stop talking about how cool they are up here.
It's true.
We're just excited this week. We get to also launch a new series called Facts. Esta semana comenzamos una nueva serie, Hechos. And it's just a time to be able to reason with your faith and ask all of those questions that you and I have about God and faith. So we're excited about that. Girl, don't interrupt me.
Adon, I work with the middle school kids here at New Vintage. I know what's cool. I know that middle school kids, when they agree with each other, they go, facts. And that means, yo, I agree with you.
Natty Goody, look at my swag, girl. I know what that word facts mean. I hang out with high school every week.
Okay. I get it. Okay.
Anyways, big focus, big facts.
Okay, big facts.
Big facts.
Okay.
Now that we're in the kind of the spirit of it, we want to play a little game with y'all today and just kind of break the ice a little bit. We're excited. How many of y'all ready?
Ready? Okay, here
we go.
A little
game of facts.
Here's how the game's gonna go. Everyone on their feet. We are going to put a statement up on the screen. If you think that statement is factual, you are going to turn this way. If you think that statement is fiction, you are going to turn that way. If you are incorrect, we are in the house of the Lord. Sit down. We are on the honor system. So it's okay not to win. But if you got the answer correct, you're going to stay on your feet and move on to the next question. So here we go.
Let's go. You ready, Natty Goody?
I'm ready.
Let's
I'm
go.
Ready.
Blue is the rarest M&M color.
Fact or fiction? Where do you lie?
Come on.
The answer is fiction. Brown.
God, that's like hell for y'all.
Is the rarest M&M color.
M&M.
Whoa, look at that crowd. Oh my gosh.
God.
He's cheating.
Jeez.
He's
There's
cheating.
like 10 of y'all.
Okay, next one, Adon.
The lightest, come on, all the coffee people. The lighter the coffee roast, the less caffeine it contains.
Fact or fiction? What do you think? What do you think? The answer is fiction.
Yeah, all y'all coffee people know what's up.
The lighter the bean, the more caffeine. See how I did that?
We lost a couple on those.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the second full-length animation film ever released.
Fact or fiction?
You double turn.
The answer is fiction. Snow White was the first animated film.
How many we
from
got?
Walt
How many
Disney.
we got?
Whoa!
We got 3 left,
oh my
Natty.
gosh, 3 left.
3 left,
okay, here
Natty.
we go. Here we go.
Dumb, floater, and wipe are terms used in volleyball.
Fact or fiction?
Give it your best shot.
Is everyone made up their mind? Fact or fiction? The answer is true. That is factual. Do we have anyone standing? Winner, winner!
Winner, winner! We actually got.
Is that Gary? Good job, Gary. Gary, as the winner today, you get
You want
cookies. Because our last question,
They're fired
if we,
with
or our
milk.
last statement, if we could get that up on the board, Oreo cookies before chocolate chip cookies,
Yeah,
or they
sure.
came after? Does anyone know? Oreo cookies were created in 1912. So they actually were invented before chocolate chip cookies. Share that with your people today. Right? Nobody knew that. Who would know? Double stuff is the best, I just want to say.
Yeah.
So,
With milk.
well,
Almond milk.
yeah. So, another fact Adon and I would like to share with you is that we have a men's group that has started here at church. Those men are setting their alarm at 5 a.m., and they are here on this campus Friday mornings at 6 a.m. We have caffeine, don't worry, there's coffee served. And they are meeting because iron sharpens iron. They are meeting to work out life together, to do life together. So if you are a male and you are interested in getting involved in that, show up Friday morning, 6 a.m. in the warehouse. We would be thrilled. Well, I'm not here, but they would be thrilled to have you.
Yeah, I missed it.
No,
this
you weren't there
Friday.
either. Yeah,
I
you
slept
missed
right
it.
through the alarm, and I bought like 3 dudes, man. I feel
Don't worry,
horrible.
I'm gonna call them.
Well,
5:30.
Natty,
Friday.
you know what else is growing?
Yes.
Students.
Students.
Every Tuesday we have transit.
Fact.
Come on.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
Thursday we have
Woo!
high school inside out.
Inside out.
And I'm telling you, they are just, they're growing. It's amazing to be able to
Yeah.
just pour into them and just hang out. We have a lot of fun during the week. So starting this week, actually, we have our starting point that's going to begin. So as soon as you come out of these doors, you can connect to the right. We've got our Connect booth as well here, where you can plug into one of our starting groups this week. It's an 8-week starting group, and you can ask any questions that you have. It's just kind of a 101 on just faith and getting to know God and whatnot. So we're excited about that starting point that's starting this week.
If you are interested in joining a starting point group, serving in Inside Out, Transit, Wamba, Upstreet, getting in a small group, or just getting connected in any way here at New Vintage, at the end of service, go ahead and meet up with Adon out in front of these double doors. He will be standing next to this sandwich board where you will take your phone, put the camera on, and you are just going to hold your camera up to this QR code here in the middle of the sandwich board. Once you do that, a link will pop up on your phone. Click that link, and that link is now your lifeline to get connected here at New Vintage in any way, because when you get connected at New Vintage, you not only get one of these incredible sweatshirts, but we know you're a person who cares. So join the team.
That's right. That's the next step for those that are considering to get baptized. May, mark your calendars.
Yeah.
We've got a night of worship, Nat,
Fact.
on the 14th.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
7
it
p.m.
is.
It's going down. I'm excited about this. It's going to be cool. It's going to be dope, amazing. Bring everybody out. We're going to be able to worship together. I'm excited about just what God is doing in general in this whole month on this new series, Facts. So why don't we stand to our feet? Let's sing a little bit. I'm excited.
Thanks, guys. Happy Sunday.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Buonasera. That's all I got. So I was kind of thinking this song has a line in it that says, "In the good and the bad times, it's my joy to praise your name." And it's something I'm trying to work on in my life, because I feel like when things are going good, I'm like, man, God, you're the greatest. And then when something goes wrong, I'm like, maybe get weird about it. But so I don't know if that encourages you this morning in your own walk, where you are, what you're coming in here with, what's going to be thrown at you this week. Just remember, in the good and the bad times, it is our joy to praise his name. He's made so many promises to you and me and everybody, and so we just declare that this morning. So open up your hearts, open up your voices, and let's just give him praise. Here we go. I have seen your faithfulness, never break your promises. You You are good, always good, my Jesus. In the tension of the night, you speak your word, my guiding light. I will trust you, Jesus. Come on, declare, I praise your name. I praise your name. Every moment I will choose to sing. Though I am with every breath I take, I praise your name. There's always grace for a broken heart. My strength when the day gets hard. Be my hope, you're my hope, King Jesus. I praise your name. Come on. Every moment I will choose to sing. Though I am with every breath I take, I praise your name. I praise your name. You are the giver of every good thing. Though I am with every breath I take, I praise your name. Come on. In the good and the bad times, in the shadow, in the sunlight, it's my joy for my whole life. Praise your name. The good and the bad times, in the shadow, in the sunlight, it's my joy for my whole life. Praise your name. Come on and tell them this morning. In the good and the bad times, in the shadow, in the sunlight, it's my joy for my whole life. Praise your name. Praise your name. Every moment I will choose to sing. Though I am with every breath I take, I praise your name. I praise your name. You are the giver of every good thing. Though I am with every breath I take, I praise your name. I praise your name. Hey, I praise your name. Come on and give him praise this morning. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. house. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Amen. Yes, give the Lord some praise. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies till all my fears are gone. And I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Your love has called my name. And I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. Sing, I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear, for I am a child of God. Oh, I am a child of God. I am a child of the Most High God. Oh, yeah. Sing it out. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. You split the sea, come on. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. Just declare that over your life today. I am a child of God. Yes, I am. I am a child of God. One more time, sing it out. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Let's sing it out. For I am a child of God. Just declare that over your life. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am child of God.
You can take your seats. Hello, everybody. What an amazing just time of singing to the Lord. My name's Adon. I'm the community pastor here at New Vintage. But before, I used to work with this church. I was actually a pastor of a Spanish church called Casa de Fe, and that's how we met with New Vintage. And when D, my boy, moved over here from Atlanta, man, we just connected. Same brothers, different mother. Love you, man. Our team calls us, we got bromance. I said, I don't know what we got, man. We just homies. But you know what? It wasn't easy shutting down, the church that we had built. We had put tears, time, everything. We threw everything into it. We had worked so hard, but if I could be honest with y'all, we were tired, exhausted. And we were just asking God, what's next? And what we really needed was just a fresh wind from him. And that's exactly what we found when we became part of this place. We completely just joined forces. Can we all agree, better together? And as we started casting vision that together we could create the most diverse, all-inclusive church in Santa Rosa. I don't know, but I believe that with all of my heart. And that we would impact the next generation of young Hispanic families together. It started burning in me, and I started believing it, started seeing this. And I love it because, we could create a church that unchurched people from all backgrounds can really come and love to attend. Literally every week through week, there are different faces that we're seeing, and we're just becoming in love with just what God is doing for our people and just the city. And so the people of Casa actually started giving. And it's amazing because we transitioned everything over here, and we're committed to building this movement that's going to impact so many people in every corner of the city. And so Jen and I began to give, and the people begin to follow from Casa. And I just want to let you know that as we begin to give out of obedience, in the hope that together our gifts will be able to change the city, it really does happen. It's powerful when you begin to just put your faith in the vision that's so much greater than us that God has for us. So if you're visiting here today, I don't want you to feel obligated to give, but if you feel in your heart that you could give today, you can give in 3 different ways. There's envelopes around the back that you can leave, or you can text New Vintage SR to 77977. We have it up here as well. Or you can go online and just give at newvintage.org/give. So as you're considering, to give, and as we get the band to come up, Darren gets up a little bit to just start this new series, I want you to just put your faith in what God is doing in the city, and we're going to see some amazing things. Good to see you this morning as Darren comes up in a little bit. I want you to meditate on this verse.
Come from? Is there really a God? What about other religions? And what about Jesus? How can you know for sure? Is faith just blind? Can the Bible be trusted? Am I really supposed to believe in the supernatural? All these questions are a normal part of our journey toward faith. If you're not asking questions, you're probably not even trying. But the good news, these questions have reasonable answers. So let's discover together the facts that make up our faith. Awkward silence, light on. Sorry, I dropped some of my material as I was going. I really apologize for that. God, I'm an idiot. Just kidding. Well, good morning. Welcome to New Vintage. We're what a great worship time. I mean, I was over here singing. I forgot I had to do anything. I was just lost in the moment. We're so glad you guys are here. If this is your first time, we're glad you're checking this out. If you're watching online, we're glad that you're here. You're not a secondary audience. You're an important audience to us if you're watching online at home and eating a bowl of cereal or whatever you're doing. We're glad that you are here checking this out. People are waving to you in the front row if you missed that. But we're excited about today. I'm excited about today. It's going to be a great morning, I think, for you guys. Hopefully it'll be useful. It's 2021, and most of our nation is divided somehow. We're angry at each other. We all think we're right, and probably nobody is. And we're boycotting each other. When one side says that breathing is good, the other one says breathing is bad. When one says coffee's delicious, the other one says no, it's disgusting. If you don't wear a mask, you're a murderer. If you wear a mask, you're a robot. I mean, it's like you can't win. I mean, somebody's going to be mad at you, and we're all fighting right now. So I thought this is the perfect time for a series that we're all probably going to fight about. So I thought, we're already mad at each other. Let's fight about religion too. So that's how marriage fights work, by the way. If you're married, you know this. Like, you got something boiling under the surface, but you don't want to say anything. You don't want to rock the boat. But then as soon as you're fighting about something, it's like, well, let me throw this in here too while we're at it, because we're already mad at each other now. So it's like, I took out the trash more, and by the way, I've never liked your mother either. So just want to get that out there, let you know we're fighting, so we're just going to keep fighting. So I thought it'd be a good time to fight about religion right now since we're already fighting. No, it's going to be a great series, I think, hopefully good for everybody. So I want to start out with a challenge, though. I need a volunteer to try and do something up here. And so Mom just put a kid's hand down, like, don't you go up there. I love that. I need one volunteer. I'm going to pick somebody if you don't. Okay, all right. Jason, all right. You're a man of many talents, and you're on the front row. And I need to talk with you, too, at some point. I need some tattoo ideas, and oh, man, kids, that's great. That is good. I don't have big enough arms, but I will get there at some point. I'm going to work out one day. So, Jason, I've got this nail nailed into this piece of wood, okay? And then I've got 12 nails here. And what I need you to do is I want you to figure out if you can balance these 12 nails on top of this one nail. So figure that out for a second while I'm going to set up this series while you try that. And no one's going to listen to me, but you can't use anything else, Jason, just the nails on that, okay? So while you do that, I'm going to talk for a second. No one's going to listen to me. But here's why we're doing this series, okay? I'm a skeptic, and I don't believe things easily. In fact, I remember when I was in college, I took an astronomy class. He has to do all 12. Don't get excited. And I took this astronomy class, and the guy said the sun is 93 million miles from Earth. And I raised my hand that first day of college, and I said, how do you know? Who measured that? Like, you don't have a 93 million mile tape measure. You didn't go measure that. I'm just naturally skeptical. I don't trust a lot of things. Like, whenever a Nigerian prince offers me money through my email, $2 million, I don't trust that Nigerian prince. I don't trust WebMD, okay? I don't trust mattresses for sale on Craigslist. I don't trust a fart after Taco Bell. I don't trust... I'm sorry, I'm like 12. I don't trust Facebook's privacy settings. I don't trust them. I just don't trust them. How you doing, Jason? Not very well. I got a little ways to go before I get back to you. You got one. That's pretty good. I'm just naturally skeptical. And I was that way with faith, too. I don't want to believe that Jesus rose from the dead if it's not true. Like, just to be between you and me, my whole life is staked on this belief that a Jewish carpenter died on a cross, rose from the dead, and that means something to me. And if that's not true, if there aren't reasonable explanations for that, I'm out. I don't want to be a part of it.
I'm out. So I want to have reasonable ideas about why this stuff might be true. And I know there's people all over the country, Sonoma County in particular, who are skeptical. They don't believe this. And they wonder if it's true, and they should wonder if it's true. They should wonder if it's really true, because you've got to actually have some evidence for it. And so Christians, if you're in the room, we should have good reasons for what we believe. And we should be able to help people understand what we believe. That's what Peter said. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15 says this, "But in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you for the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect." It's cool. It's cool. It's hard. It's not easy, right? We should have an answer. And I always tell kids that you need to quib and you need to bwick. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Jason, you know what I mean. Quib. You know how to quib? Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense, right? But I always say, you got to quib. If you're going to be a Christian, you got to quib and you got to bwick. Those are two things you always have to do. And people are like, what are you talking about? It stands for, I have to know what I believe, and I have to believe what I know. I've got to know what I believe. I should know what I believe. And I should know why I believe it. And then what I believe should change me, so I should believe in what I know if it's true. And so here's the thing, Jason, I'm about to get to you. There's two reasons for this series. There's two reasons for this series. Number one, for anybody who's a Christian in the room, this series is to give you good reasons for what you believe. And anyone who's still wrestling through your faith, you're still investigating faith, it's to give you good evidence to consider. Give you actual good evidence to consider. See, because here's the thing. A lot of people don't believe in God. They don't believe that God made people. They believe that people made God to make them feel good. So the natural consequence of that is to go do whatever gives you pleasure. And here's the thing, I'm about to get you, don't pull the nail out, Jason. If you do whatever brings you pleasure, that doesn't last, and I want you to have something that lasts. So here's what we're going to do. Jason, there is a way to do this, okay? I'm going to show you. Here's the thing. What we do oftentimes as faith is we have somebody sit there and struggle with it, and we never show them how it works. And they look at faith, and they think, I have no clue how this works. I'm trying, I'm coming to church, I'm trying to show up, I'm reading stuff, but I don't know how it works, and I don't know if it's true, and I don't know if I believe it, and no one ever explains how it works, because it looks like a really hard question. Believing that Jesus rose from the dead is a hard thing to believe. And yet you come to churches, and what do we say? We say, you just believe it. Jesus loves you, he died on the cross for you, you need to believe that. Well, why am I going to believe that? What if it's not true? And people are defensive, rightfully so, about whether or not they believe in this because it seems so hard. But there's a way, if you closely examine faith, and we have a video, or we have a camera, I think, that can show this for online viewers. You actually take these nails like this, and you stack them like this. And can I have all of them, Jason? You put them all up here if they fell. And you just stack them. That's right. Opposite. That's right. Yeah, do it with me. You learn it with me together. That's right. That's how we do this faith thing. We journey it together. And you take that last one, and you put it across the top like that. And you make a little sandwich for the nails, right? And you make a nail sandwich. And then you take it up here like this, and you put it on here like this. Wait for it, wait. Okay, so just leave that one off for now, but you get the idea. Wow. And they hang up there like that. And you can do all of them just like that. Give it up for Jason. Way to go, Jason. Thanks for being up here and trying. Appreciate you. And the truth is, if you get close enough to this, and if you learn this, you go, oh, that's not really actually that hard. It takes a little time, takes a little practice, but it's not that hard. And I like to think of faith like this. Like when you first examine faith, if you're intellectually honest, faith in Jesus raising from the dead is kind of crazy. It almost seems unbelievable and unattainable. When I say stack 12 nails on one nail, it feels like, I don't know if I can do that. But if you get close enough and you practice it and you learn it and you understand the method, actually it makes perfect sense. And it works. And that's the way I think faith can be for so many of us. And so over the next 4 weeks, we're going to tackle faith in 4 different categories. Here are the 4 categories, just to give you an idea. We're going to give you these 4 things. Week one, we're just going to set this up. Whenever we start a series, we set it up, and then we have one idea. And the one idea this week is the resurrection. How can you trust the resurrection? The second thing we're going to do next week is what evidence supports the Bible as a reliable source of truth. Like, how do you know that the Bible can be trusted? Because that's like, I thought that was an old book that nobody listened to anymore. It's like ancient, like you really trust what it says? And then week 3, we're going to talk about science and faith. Are the two at war? Are those two things at war? Like if you believe in science, you can't have a faith? Is that the way that works? Or how does that work? And then week 4 is going to be your questions answered. And so I know that right now I'm the one with a microphone, so I'm the one talking, but you might sit in your seats right now or watch online and go, this guy is full of it. That's not true. I heard this thing. I saw this on the History Channel. I watched YouTube. I know it's true. I saw all these things, and I want to say something to him. So here's the number you can text me at. You text me at this number and tell me what problems you have with what I'm saying. In fact, or just add questions. And week 4, we want to dive into all the questions that we get during the course of the series. And the number is 707-584-6461. You can text me at any time, and we'll get those questions, and we will answer them on week 4. We'll kind of dive into all your questions. If nobody has any questions for week 4, we'll just look at each other, and that'll be fun too. So the first thing that we're going to put on trial, is the resurrection, okay? And anytime that you want to find out, want to examine if something is true, you don't need to find out beyond a shadow of a doubt. Right? You don't know almost anything beyond a shadow of a doubt. Anything can be changed. Anything can be fixed, doctored, whatever. Nothing. You don't ever know anything beyond a shadow of a doubt. When you're in a court case, when the lawyer brings the information in, he brings the evidence in, or she brings the evidence in, and they're going through it, and it's like, I've got this evidence and that evidence. You've got the DNA samples and the video, and you've got the eyewitness accounts, and you've got the shrapnel from the gun, you got the fingerprints, you got the whatever is on trial. You bring the evidence, and then the jury has to come to a conclusion beyond a shadow of a doubt or beyond a reasonable doubt. You all know this. You're smart. You know what I'm talking about. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And so what we need to get our faith to is just to beyond a reasonable doubt. What's most likely based on the evidence? What most probably happened based on the evidence that we bring to the table? And what I want to do for a few weeks is actually bring evidence to the table so that we have reasons for our faith. Instead of just saying, well, I just believe it because the pastor told me. I believe it because mom told me. I believe it because dad told me. I believe it because that's the only thing I've ever heard about. Now, we can believe something based on evidence and find out what's most reasonable with the evidence that we have. So that's what I hope to do. So if everybody could stand up for me real quick. You're going to be the jury, and you're going to swear to something for me real quick, okay? So just stand up and put your right arm up in the air, okay? And I know some of you are like, I don't do what people tell me to do, so I'm not doing that. That's fine. That's me. I'm that guy. I'm not doing that. They told me to put my hand up. I'm not putting my hand up. This is an idiot. I'm not doing that. You think I'm some kind of robot? I'm not doing what he said. I get that. So you don't have to do this. This is just for fun, okay? It's all just for fun. So this, in a jury, you would stand up and you would admit to something. So just repeat after me real quick these words, okay? Here are the words I want you to repeat, okay? I solemnly, sincerely, and truthfully affirm. I read too much. That was too much. You didn't, okay? And I declare that I will conscientiously try the charges against the resurrection. And, you guys got that one. You will decide, I will decide, according to the evidence. Now, Darren, can I sit down? You didn't have to say that. No, it is. Okay, go ahead and have a seat. Thank you. Okay, all right. And by the way, don't tell anyone outside this courtroom what you decided, okay? No deliberations. Don't be telling people you're a jury. It's all private. I'm just kidding. You can say it to anybody. It doesn't matter. Here's why the resurrection matters. I'm going to start the court case. This is my opening statement. Here's why it matters. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, he said this, if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile. You're still in your sin. It doesn't matter. If Christ hasn't been raised from the dead, this Christian thing, it's worthless. And I agree. If this isn't true, what's the point? The whole point is that he defeated death, that he can give us life because he defeated death. If he didn't defeat death, it is pointless. In fact, if you're here, if you're listening, if you're watching, one of the things that's keeping you from faith, if you're not there yet, is this idea of the resurrection. You're kidding me. You want me to believe that a man rose from the dead and that matters to me. That's what's holding some of you up, some of you watching, some of you listening, some of you here. That's what's holding you up because you get it. You're smart. You understand if this isn't true, this thing is pointless. It's just a crutch. It's just some nice way of behaving. It's just a moral authority, moral rules, moral ideas. But it doesn't really matter if Jesus didn't rise from the dead. That's what the Christian faith rises and falls upon. So, here's the evidence. I'm going to start with a statement from a guy named Chuck Colson. Chuck Colson was a part of Watergate. If you don't know what Watergate is, it was back in the 70s. Nixon was running for president, and he sent 12 guys into the Democratic agency to wiretap their phones and to steal documents and to take pictures of documents and to get evidence against the Democratic Party so that they could win the election or whatever they were planning on doing. And these guys got caught. There were 12 of them, and Chuck Colson was one of the 12 who got caught in Watergate, and he went to prison for it, and he later became a Christian and became a pastor and speaker, and this is what he said about the resurrection. He said this: "I know the resurrection is a fact, and Watergate proved it to me. How? Because 12 men testified they had seen Jesus raised from the dead. Then they proclaimed that truth for 40 years, never once denying it. Everyone was beaten, tortured, stoned, and put in prison. They would not have endured that if it weren't true. Watergate embroiled 12 of the most powerful men in the world, and they couldn't keep it alive for 3 weeks. You're telling me 12 apostles kept a lie going for 40 years? Absolutely impossible." That's Chuck Colson. That's just a piece of evidence. That's not a watertight, like, oh, well, then the resurrection's true. It's just the beginning of my evidence that I bring to you today to say, listen, just the fact that this thing even exists, this idea exists, it's a little bit of evidence, because these guys who promoted this idea, they were 12 disciples, fishermen, tax collectors, regular guys who kept this thing going in spite of the fact they were beating them and imprisoning them and killing them. Like, why would you die for a lie? It doesn't make any sense if it's not true. Just a piece of evidence. The main part of the evidence I want to bring to you, though, is the story of a guy named Lee Strobel. If you don't know Lee Strobel, he's kind of an expert in this field. But Lee Strobel was originally, when he was in his 20s, he was a journalist for the Chicago Tribune. He was a self-proclaimed atheist, not a very good father, and kind of a drunk. That was who he was. And his wife one day became a Christian. Met some friend, they led her to Jesus, she starts going to church, and he goes, I want my wife back. I don't like this. I mean, she's a better person, but I want to do the stuff we did. I want to think the way that we used to think. I want to have my wife back. And so he decided, he knew that if he could disprove the resurrection, he could get his wife back from the cult she had joined, right? And so he decided, I'm going to do this. Because I'm a journalist, I'm an investigative reporter, I'm going to investigate the resurrection. I'm going to find all the stuff that debunks it. I'm going to prove it to my wife, and I'm going to get rid of this silly little thing that she's doing. And so Lee Strobel sets out. He told us in his story, he says, I figured it would take me about 3 days. In a weekend, I'd have this solved. 2 years later, Lee Strobel gave his life to Jesus based on the evidence he found about the resurrection, right? And here's the evidence that he compiled, and he put it in an easy-to-remember form called the 4 E's of the resurrection. And it goes like this. The first thing he said was that we have an execution. We definitely have an execution. In other words, he says, there's no doubt that Jesus was absolutely dead. Now, how do you know that? Well, we have many sources of information outside the Bible that tell us this in history. There's a guy named Josephus, there's Tacitus, and there's Lucian. Those are 3 of the main ones, the big ones, that will tell you, outside the Bible, Jesus, this guy Jesus, he was really dead. In fact, there's an atheist New Testament scholar named Gerd Ludemann who said Jesus' death as a consequence of crucifixion is indisputable. Jesus was absolutely dead. You would be laughed out of every major university if you came in and said, you know what I think? I don't think Jesus really died on the cross. History, the manuscript evidence, what we have to prove this far outweighs most of ancient history of the Roman Empire and all of the things. We have so much evidence to back up the fact that Jesus really was dead. So what we have, just as my first point of evidence, is that there really was an execution of a guy named Jesus of Nazareth, and he really was dead. And everyone who's an honest historian in any major university in the United States of America will tell you, okay, that's a fact. That is a fact. He was dead, for sure. We know that. But that doesn't mean he rose from the dead. Of course not. Of course not. But we need to know, first of all, that he was dead, that he did die. That's important. Because if he didn't die and he just was hurt, then he didn't rise from the dead. He just healed really well. He's like Wolverine, just getting better. It's an X-Men reference for those of you that aren't sure. But Jesus is dead. Okay. The second E is this. that we have early accounts that there was a resurrection. You go, why is that important? Why early? Well, the big argument against the resurrection is that it's just a legend, right? But there's a scholar from Oxford who did a big study on legends and how they're formed. And his conclusion was that based on all the legends he studied, it takes about 2 generations for a legend to wipe away the historical core facts that were there. And so the problem with the resurrection is that we have early accounts of the people around Jesus celebrating his resurrection. They had this creed that they used to repeat. They wrote this down. It says, he died, he was buried, and he rose again. And then the author Paul, he writes in the account, a letter to the Corinthians about the resurrection of Jesus. He repeats this creed. And we know that Corinthians, based on the manuscripts that we found, can be dated just a few years after Jesus died. And so we have an early occurrence of the people, the followers of Jesus, celebrating a resurrection right after his death. There was no time for a legend to develop. So this wasn't a legend. This was something that they were talking about immediately following. Now, it could still be a lie. It could still be made up. They could still be faking it. But it can't be a legend because legends develop over time. And we have undeniable evidence that they were celebrating a resurrection shortly after the death. So it can't be a legend. And so the early accounts is important in Lee Strobel's investigation of the resurrection that he wanted to disprove. He said, oh, shoot. If we didn't have these early accounts, I'd be able to say, see, it was a legend, but we have early accounts, so it couldn't be a legend. So that one's out. So that's just a piece of evidence. It doesn't prove anything. Not beyond a shadow of a doubt. But maybe you start thinking, okay, that's helpful. Here's the next one, E. We have an empty tomb. We have an empty tomb. And so we've got a execution. He's definitely dead. We have early accounts that it was a resurrection, and now we have an empty tomb. Now you say, okay, but maybe the tomb was always empty. Maybe he was never put in there because they say that crucifixion victims are thrown out to the city, like a garbage dump kind of. They just toss them out there. But the Digesta, which is a Roman account of the summary of all the Roman laws in that day, the Digesta, if you read it, it says crucifixion victims are to be given to whoever asks for them to do with whatever they want. And so the story of Joseph of Arimathea requesting the body to put in his own tomb makes sense. Now, you may say, well, maybe the disciples stole the body, right? That's what the enemies, his enemies said. That like when the body was, the disciples came and said, he's risen. The body's not there. The religious leaders of the time and the Roman officials said, well, you stole the body. Well, what are they admitting to right there? They're admitting that the tomb's empty. That somebody was in it. We did put a body in it, but you guys stole the body. So let's get to how it got empty a minute ago, but let's just focus on the fact that when you say you stole the body, you're admitting the tomb wasn't empty and now it is empty. Well, shoot. Got you on that one, right? Like you should have said that. You should have just said, well, go find him. If it wasn't empty, they could have said, well, just go roll the stone away, find the body. But they said, you took the body. So they're admitting that the tomb is actually empty when it wasn't previously empty. Now the question is, how did it get empty? Well, the Roman soldiers, they had no reason to take the body. They wanted him to be dead. They wanted him, this uproar, this guy who was coming to be a rebel, they wanted him dead. The religious leaders, they're the ones who had him killed. They wanted him out because he was talking against them. They don't want this guy risen from the dead. And the disciples, they ran away and hid. They had no opportunity and they had no means. It was guarded by Roman soldiers. We know these things based on ancient manuscripts and the writings of people like Josephus and Tacitus and Lucian. We know these things. So they had no opportunity to steal the body. In fact, they were hiding in a room when this happened. So we have an execution for sure. We have early accounts that there was a resurrection. And we have an empty tomb. We know it became empty. It started full and it became empty. So what is the story? I don't know. I'm not saying it's airtight. I'm just giving you the evidence. And then finally, the last piece of evidence is eyewitness accounts. We have eyewitness accounts that this Jesus appeared to people. The disciples, the followers of Jesus, they thought they were going to be killed next. So they ran to a room and they hid. Just a few weeks later, we find those same followers who were so scared standing in the streets proclaiming that Jesus is risen from the dead and that they have seen him. Now this gets them punished, thrown in jail, beaten, some of them killed, stoned, and really destroyed their livelihood. Now, what would take them from being scared that they were going to be killed next to having no fear that they could be next? They weren't saying that they believed Jesus rose from the dead. What they said was, we saw him with our own eyes raised from the dead. Now that would give me courage. Because if I was one of them and I ran in my head, it's like, crap, they're going to get us next. And then I saw him, I'd be like, oh my gosh, he is God of all. You were dead, bro. He's like, I'm the way, the truth, and life. No one's comes. You got to tell people about me. Got it. And then I go over here and I go, all right, here's the story. He rose from the dead. Well, we're going to put you in prison, Darren. We're going to beat you, Darren. That's fine. You can do that. You're going to have to do that. But I can't say that I didn't see him. You were scared a minute ago, and now you're scared. What? Now you're fearless. What was it that caused them to change? It had to be, I think, in my opinion, that they saw something unbelievable. And so they had an unbelievable change in their lives. Now, we have accounts from 9 different sources outside the Bible that record that he appeared to over 500 people after the resurrection. So all I'm saying is that here's some evidence for us to consider. What I'm saying to you is I don't think faith is as blind as we often are asked for it to be. Oftentimes you come to church and they say, just believe it. I'm saying come to church, look at the evidence, and see if it's worth believing. Because many of you, some of you, your friends, your neighbors, people watching online, this idea of the resurrection is the very thing that's keeping you from placing your faith in Jesus, and I get it. But if you examine it closely and you find out a little bit more about it, you can discover it's not so crazy after all if you examine the evidence and look at the facts of the story. See, what I want for you, what I hope for you, is that you discover something more than the pleasure of this life to give you life. That you discover that there's a God who loves you. See, that my relationship with God through his son Jesus is what gives me peace. It's what gives me life. It's what gives me hope. It's what gives me a firm foundation from which to make decisions no matter what comes in my life. And I want that for the people of Sonoma County, for the city of Santa Rosa, for all of you in this room and those of you watching online. And we can find it when we examine the facts of the faith. And my hope is that these facts, these ideas are something you can wrestle with. If you're a Christian, I hope these reasons for faith give you the ability to help others discover faith as well, but do so with gentleness and respect. And if you're still investigating, I hope you'll come back for next week for part 2 as we investigate the Bible and put it on trial and see if there's any reasonable reason to accept it as a valid source of truth for our lives. Thank you all for listening. I'm so glad you guys could be here. I hope you wrestle with it this week, the facts that make up our faith. Let me pray for us. God, you left us a trail. You're like the kid in E.T. who left the Reese's. You wanted us to be able to find our way home. And so you left evidence for us. And so we are grateful, God, that you left the evidence for us. Help us to examine the evidence. Help us to be patient with those examining the evidence. Help us to love one another. Help us not to push people away because of the way we treat each other in their process of discovering faith. And I pray that this church, this building, this place, this street corner would be a place where people could discover that you really are real. That the stories that might be hard to believe, if we get close enough, we examine them, there's good evidence to make them believable. And I pray you'd help us to love our neighbor as ourselves in this process. God, we love you. We thank you for today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Y'all, thank you for being here. Such a good day. If you're here for the first time, or even if you're new-ish to New Vintage and we haven't met yet, right out the back to the left, we have a VIP section. We've got a gift for you that I'd love to give you. If you want to get connected, if you want to serve, if you want to be a part of Starting Point, if you're new to faith and you have questions, that starts this week. Out the door to the right, get connected, use that QR code, join a group. The best way to get plugged in and be a part of this church and make friends is to get connected. So get connected and help us get to know you. See you guys. Have a great week.